All right. Hi, everyone. This is for my students in philosophy of the paranormal. Oops, sorry for the shaky video here. But what I'm going to do today is provide you with some instructions on how to complete your essay topic proposal. So toward that end, let me just share my screen here so that you guys can see what's up. I'm going to bring up the proposal. And I'm just going to go through it section by section and explain the assignment details to all of you. So here we go. Put myself over here. Right, so if you go into the helpful materials module, which is kind of when you're looking at the table of contents on Brightspace, it'll be all the way down at the bottom. That's the helpful materials module. And there you will find this template, which you can download for yourself. You'll want to make sure that when you submit it, it still has this format. Just put your name or student number here in the submission file before you upload it to the Dropbox on Brightspace. So make sure that you submit your proposal in either MS Word or so like doc or PDF. Those are the only file formats that I can accept. I can't open other kinds of files, you see. So don't send me something in like some unknown file format that I can't open. I'm not going to chase after you to submit the correct one. So it just won't get marked. So please remember to submit in the correct file format. Should be easy to do if you use this template. And I highly recommend you use this template because it makes everything very easy to do. It makes your life easier. All you have to do is put your name and student number here, put the assignment due date, course information. So that's the course, that's me, your instructor. And then you get to your proposal. The first thing you'll want to do is provide a working title. It doesn't have to be anything especially profound or cool, but just something that communicates to me what your essay is going to be about. You can always change it later when you submit your final essay. So you want to make sure you give a catchy title. And of course, I can't stress this enough. These instructions here, so provide a working title for your essay, tell me about your area of interest, so on and so forth. Yeah, delete that once you've written your actual title and your area of interest and so on and so forth. Delete those instructions because it just looks silly when you hand it in and those instructions are still there. So these are not for me to reread. These are for all of you so that you know what to do. So for your area of interest, just tell me, generally speaking, what sort of area of interest interests you. So the general topic or area that you'd like to wrote about. Oh my God. Oh, a typo. Oh, I have to fix that. Yeah, the area you want to write about. Choose something we've covered in class or something new. Just make sure that your essay is related to the paranormal. So since this is philosophy of the paranormal, where we are critically examining paranormal claims, concepts, phenomena, all of that stuff, you certainly need for your essay topic to sort of fall under that umbrella. That said, there's a lot of different things you could talk about. It doesn't have to be something that we've covered in class. One thing that we don't really cover in class is, for example, divination. Tarot cards, palm reading, stuff like that. We'll do a little bit of that with astrology. But that's an example of something more general that I suppose is related to the core themes of the class that you could talk about. Really, if you're worried whether your if you're worried about whether your area of interest, the area or topic or general subject you'd like to write your paper on is might not be suitable for the class, you can do this little test. Just ask yourself if you're dealing with something unexplained and mysterious, right? If you're dealing with something like that, chances are it's probably okay to write about it. As I said before, I've had people write lots of different kinds of papers. I had a student in a previous class write about the write about the Mandela effect. As I said in one of my recent lectures, I've had students write about the hungry ghost, which is a sort of ghost from Asian folklore. It's inspired by Buddhist traditions mostly. I had one student write about this mysterious bridge in Scotland where dogs seem to commit suicide. They jump off this bridge that's purportedly haunted. So that's certainly weird and mysterious. You could do the Bermuda Triangle. You could do, I've had a student talk about reincarnation, right? So it's fairly broad. Just make sure you're dealing with something mysterious, paranormal, anomalous, or unexplained. Other than that, the sky's the limit. And if you're still worried, remember, this is the whole point of this proposal. You know, if you pick a topic that's not going to fit within the themes of the class, well, I can let you know and steer you in the proper direction, right? So once you've identified an area of interest, you know, you probably just want to write 2, 3, I'd say no more than 5 sentences. This should be a couple of sentences to a small paragraph. And then I want you to provide me with your thesis. I want you to give me a thesis statement or research question. You can write a few sentences, that'll be fine, but you have to make sure that you tell me what exactly you're going to argue or how you will answer your research question. This is really just 2 ways of doing the same thing, right? You can provide a thesis statement like, in this paper, I will argue that the evidence for reincarnation is not sufficient to justify belief in the reincarnation of souls or something like that, right? You have to tell me, like in 1 sentence, this is what this paper is about. That's what a thesis statement is for. But you can also use a research question. You can pick a question like, is ghost hunting scientific or pseudoscientific? So that's your research question. And then immediately after you give me that question, you need to tell me, in this paper, I will argue that ghost hunting is not scientific. It is a pseudoscience, blah, 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 right? So you only need 1 or 2 sentences for this, but you absolutely need to let me know the thesis you'll be arguing in favor of, or the question you will attempt to answer, and the answer that you think you will give. You absolutely need to do that because this is a research essay. So then your plan of attack. 1 to 2 paragraphs here is good. So I've written here, how do you envision your paper? How do you think your investigation will proceed? Will you write a paper with a positive or a negative argument? Will you write an adjudicative paper? How much survey or literature review will you conduct? And how do you plan to gather sources? Tell me all of that, right? If you're going to write a positive argument or a negative argument, let me know. A positive argument is just arguing for a particular claim. A negative argument would be arguing against it. An adjudicative paper is a paper where you sort of navigate between 2 or more competing explanations and try and argue for the best one. It's like you're trying to decide between answers A, B, and C, which is correct. All papers will need a bit of literature review, but this is a research paper, so it cannot, I repeat, cannot be entirely like summative or survey or lit review. You have to give me an argument or answer a question about something. So a paper, and I'll say more about this when I deliver the instructions for the final paper, but a paper like in the A+ range is going to be absolutely outstanding. It will have a good argument, no errors of reason, very good research, no spelling, grammar, punctuation errors or anything like that. Everything will be cited properly, and it'll be just really well written and take the reader along on a journey, right? A range papers are pretty much the same, but maybe with a few mistakes. In my classes, when you get into the B range, that tends to indicate problems with communicating your ideas. So that's when we're starting to run into problems with spelling, grammar, punctuation, errors of reasoning, like logical fallacies, that kind of thing. In the C range and D range, things just get worse, where the paper's full of errors and maybe you're not even offering an argument, right? So keep that in mind as you're putting your plan of attack together. You can think of this as kind of like an abstract or like even the start of your paper. If you write a really good proposal where you give me your area of interest, your thesis, and your plan of attack, that can all be reworked into the first couple paragraphs of your final paper once you get my feedback, right? And remember, the idea behind my feedback is to make sure that you're on the right track, to point out any problems that might need addressing in the final paper, and just to give general tips and tricks for submitting a good assignment. So once you apply that feedback, what you'll have is a few sentences that you can turn into the introduction for your final paper. And then at the end, you'll need to include some references. So if you don't have that many references gathered up so far, that's okay. You can simply cite any book chapters, readings, or lectures that you think are relevant to your topic, and you can list them here. I don't care what citation style you use. I just ask that you be consistent and use it properly. So don't switch between citation styles in the middle of your paper. Don't use one style for in-text citations and then another style for your references or bibliography page. Make sure you cite things properly. When in doubt, cite, because you do not want to accidentally commit plagiarism. And the rules and regulations about that can all be found in the course outline, which you can also find on Brightspace, of course. So yeah, you'll probably want to give me some references. I'd say between 3 and 5 is probably good for your proposal. So 3 to 5 references. And this here, all of this should come out to about 500 to 750 words at the longest. I definitely wouldn't go below 500 words, because that just doesn't give me much to go on. You know, if this is like, look, this whole document is 245 words. So you want to end up with the body of this being about, I don't know, 2 to 3 times this length, I'd say. The area of interest and plan of attack section will be a little bit longer. You know, this only has to be a sentence or 2. And of course, after you've written everything, delete these instructions, as I mentioned earlier. Then 3 to 5 references, and you're good to go. Submit that in doc format or PDF format, and you'll be fine. Now, I imagine some of you are wondering how to pick a topic. That's completely up to you. As I said earlier, anything that's kind of weird, creepy, mysterious, unexplained mystery type thing, anything to do with the paranormal or the supernatural, anything related to the themes of the class is really fair game. Any kind of anomalous experience is fair game. A great approach is well, there's 2 great approaches that I, if I were you, I would take one of these. I would either pick a mysterious, paranormal, supernatural phenomenon or claim or event and critically assess it. Just like we're doing with the topics of our lectures, right? Try to pick something I'm not lecturing on, of course, but or something that I mentioned in lecture that we haven't had a chance to talk about, and then critically assess it, analyze it, apply the skepticism and the critique that we've been doing so far, and try and come up with a naturalistic explanation for these various anomalous phenomena that you might choose from. So that's one way, is just to sort of pick a thing and critique. I guess a second approach would be looking at folklore. That's also really cool. You can sort of explain, you know, okay, so maybe things like ghosts or vampires don't exist, but why do we believe in them? And why do they have such a big role in folklore and in culture and in various stories? You could certainly do that. What else could you do? So you could pick a topic and critique it. You could show why belief is persistent in something and try to give explanations for that. I suppose that you could also try and argue in favor of some sort of paranormal phenomena, but that is difficult. I don't want you to discourage you from doing that. It's just that the way we're learning about this stuff, it seems that once we do understand something anomalous or paranormal, it ceases to be paranormal. And we'll see this when we come to our lecture on like dreams and stuff like that, which we haven't got to yet. So it's not that if you're open-minded and you believe in the paranormal, I don't want to discourage you from writing a paper on the topic of your choice, but it would be quite a tall order to show that, for example, psychics are real, given that all scientific results on these questions are either null or if they're not null, they're not replicable. So I guess you could do that, but I probably wouldn't. So really anything related to the paranormal is fair game. And use your imaginations, use your creativity. I really like when students come up with stuff that I haven't thought of before and show why it's related to this course. I really like that. And those papers, if they're well written, tend to fall within that A+ range. So I certainly recommend applying some creativity and some imagination. And if you're a believer in the paranormal, or if you're not a naturalist, if you're not a physicalist or a materialist, that's fine. You just have to make sure that your argument is sound. Like, I know there are skeptics and believers both in this class, and we are taking a skeptical, critical approach to the paranormal, but that doesn't mean you have to do that in your essay. I mean, you do have to be skeptical and critical, but if you want to argue in favor of, I don't know, like micro PK or something like that, I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say proceed with caution, if that makes sense. So that's about all I can think of. I think that's all you'll need to know for this assignment. I will do another video that details how to write an essay proper, which I'll release after I get your feedback. And of course, after Jenna gets your feedback as well. Jenna and I, Jenna's our teaching assistant, we will both be grading these together. So some of you might get feedback from me and some of you might get feedback from Jenna. But we're going to make sure that we're grading everything consistently, and that everybody is getting the same kind of feedback. So we're going to point out, if you make an error of reasoning or there's a problem with the argument you intend to make, we'll point that out. If there are some issues with, the technical stuff, writing, we'll point that out and offer tips for how to improve. We may suggest sources to you if you're like, I'm not sure, I'm thinking of using, these sources over here. Maybe I'll recommend, I know of this source that's kind of like these ones. You should go check that out. You can find it in the library, whatever, right? So that's about all. So yeah, remember to be critical, skeptical, make sure you keep within the themes of the class, make sure that you use this template, but that you delete the instructions before you hand it in. Make sure you hand it in PDF or doc format. No other formats are accepted. And do your best. Try to apply your imagination and creativity. And don't be afraid to talk about stuff that you wouldn't talk about in a normal philosophy class. That's kind of what this class is, right? A lot of people are like, philosophy of the paranormal, what are you doing in a class like that? Well, we're critically assessing paranormal concepts and claims and using that as a lens to learn about philosophy. So don't be afraid to write about something really weird, as long as it's mysterious, paranormal, supernatural, anomalous, or related to it in some way. All right, so that's it for my little instructional video. I hope that you all find this helpful. Let's just stop sharing. Boy, it's weird having a Zoom meeting all by yourself. It's like an individual party. Anyway, I hope that you all find this helpful, and I encourage you all to reach out to me with any questions or concerns as you begin writing. I will post the Dropbox for this assignment, or it may already be up. I might push the due date back a couple of days too, in case I haven't done that. But anyway, I'll make announcements for this on Brightspace. So good luck, everybody. Do your best work. I'm really looking forward to reading all of your assignments, all of your proposals, so that Jenna and I can get feedback to you. And I will see you all in our next lecture. All right. Bye for now.